signed up for today, but it is 12 o'clock, so gonna get started. Thanks very much for coming to our second Lunch and Learn this month because we're putting a big emphasis on using the Nexus tools. Stevie Dram from the PACE office is going to talk today about using the annotation tool for doing assessments right inside Nexus, which can be a time saver if you're into using it. Really, that's about it. Go ahead, Stevie, why don't you take over?
Thanks, Ken. Hi, everybody. I'm looking at all the names. I think I know most people, and most people will know me, but in case you don't, so as Ken said, my name's Stevie from PACE, been with PACE for many years. Won't tell you how many. My role at PACE is right now manager of technical operations and online learning specialist. So I get to show you some of the tools on Nexus. So I'm going to share my screen, and we'll get started. So the theme today is annotation tool, or if you know me, I like to theme all my presentations. It's the one tool to rule them all. I hope we have some Lord of the Ring fans out there that get all my little wit. Oh, I see Janella. Okay, perfect. So the agenda today is we're going to look at what the tool is, why use the tool, and some steps to using the tool. So we're going to look at one in action. We're going to look at some of the tools, some of the products available in the tool, such as the pen and the note. Those are kind of the main ones. We're going to see what a student views, because I know you're always curious, well, I do this, what's the student going to see? And I'm going to talk about some of the challenges of the tool. So it's not perfect. Nothing's perfect, and this is one of those things that aren't perfect, but it's pretty darn good. So before we start, I actually want to do a poll. Let me pull up my poll. One. Launch poll. Okay, so the poll is just curious on what's your experience using the tool so far. So would you say you're at the wizard level, that you use it all the time? You dabble a bit, you're not consistently using it, so I've kind of, you're a forest elf level, or you've not used it, you're at the hobbit level, you're still in the Shire, living in your hut. So just curious what the levels are of people before we start, so I get a sense. So I'm just going to leave it up for another 5 seconds. So if you cast your vote, and then I'm going to share the voting with everybody. Okay, so I'm going to share the results, just because if I do a poll, I always like to see the results. So we have one person that uses it all the time. So we have one wizard in the audience. We have 4 that are not using it, but not consistently. And then a whole bunch of hobbits out there. So a whole bunch that are new. So 20 new, 4 that are inconsistently using it, and 1 that's using it all the time. Thanks for sharing. Okay, move my thing on. So we're going to talk about what the tool is first. So tool is a quick way to provide feedback directly in the document. So there's a pen tool, there's a note tool we'll look at, and you can put those right in the student's document. So what it does is it removes the need to download the student's document, use track changes, make your changes on it, sometimes resave the document under a different name, then upload the document back, which can be time consuming. So it gets rid of all that function. And I will put a caveat, if it works for the type of assignment you are grading. So it provides a means to use highlighting. You can draw happy faces. If you're using a tablet and a stylus, you can get pretty elaborate on how you use it. I don't use it that way. I just use my mouse, and I just usually underline things and put check marks or stars. So you can use it as nuanced or as simple as you want using the tools. So why use the tool, or my precious annotation tool. So before we start, I'm just curious, can anybody share how they grade right now? I mean, we're going to be talking about the annotation tool, but I know there's other ways to grade. And I'm thinking there might be some really inventive ways that people are using right now. I'd like to hear if anybody wants to share how they're grading. If you do, you can just unmute yourself and start talking. Oh, I hear typing.
I can go first if nobody wants.
Yeah, thanks, Raf.
Okay, good. Hello, Stevie.
Hi.
For me, a couple different ways. So the first one is in the quizzes. It's a setup on Nexus, so the grade just comes out of it for me. So it's very, very easy. Have a quiz. Let's say it's 5 points of the mark. They finish it off. They click submit quiz, and Nexus provide them the mark, and voila, I have the marks right there. I can either go to Nexus, download it in an Excel sheet, and get the marks and input it on the grades, or I can just look at Nexus and update it on the Excel sheet before submitting, right? But if you are like me and you have to submit a grade on the Excel sheet that the University of Winnipeg has established. So that's way one. I think the second one, for assignments that they have to write and they have different questions, let's say it's an assignment that they have to upload pictures of whatever they have drawn, depending if it's a diagram, whatever the case might be. Then for those ones, I log into each and every exam and I put the mark in there myself. So let's say this question number 1 is worth 6 points and you scored 50%. Therefore, I include manually 3 points for that one. Do the same for all the questions, and then I submit the feedback back to the student. So that again creates an Access view where I can see how much they scored, and I can again pull it in an Excel spreadsheet or manually get that data and input my submission. So those are mainly the 2 ways I do it. I don't have any fancy way on Access that I use to do that.
I mean,
We're all mute.
fancy isn't always the best, right? Sometimes just the most direct line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can also confirm that I'm actually using exactly what Rafael has said. Yeah, the quiz is, of course, a direct there. And when it comes to the assignments, then either download or go directly into one each. Yeah.
Okay.
And then at the end of the day, just assimilate all and then enter into the grade sheet. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Thanks. So those are all good ways, and I mean, we're showing you one way to use it. This is what I prefer. And there's reasons I prefer it, because I remember a few years ago, I would have to download the assignment, make sure that it's a Word document. If it was a PDF, then it wouldn't work, because students sometimes submit different types of documents. If it's a Pages document, I can't even open it because I don't have a Mac. And I'd have to download it, put it on my laptop, go in, track changes. Sometimes I would forget the track changes part, and I would start editing and then have to go back and do track changes and resubmit the comments and the notes that I put in, and then save it as something else, so I knew that I'm done with it, and then upload it. And that, that would take a lot of time. So for using the tool, I can kind of do everything I did through that function using the annotation tool. So the benefits of it are, it gives a student a clear view, so you can draw, you can do boxes around things, you can do arrows, you can highlight things. You can, what I like is I can put a comment directly on a certain aspect of what they wrote. Like one word, or like just like, why is there a comma here? I'll circle it and put a note there. So you can get very detailed in terms of how you use the tools, your commenting, and it's faster. So it makes it faster to get the feedback to your students. Sometimes the classes come really quick and they need feedback for an assignment before they do the next assignment. It's faster for you too, because I mean, right now I have 3 courses finishing, so this is my grading hell time, where there's a lot of things to grade and they have to be done pretty quickly with a quick turnaround. So this really expedites that. And it still gives that robust and clear feedback for students. So that's a few of the reasons why to use the tool. And I will say again, it will not work for every situation. And we'll get into that a little bit later, but just for an example, if you have the students doing an Excel document where you need to look at the formulas and the back end, it won't do that. It's kind of giving you a snapshot of what's on the screen. If you need to go into detail on formulas, you do have to download it to see the formulas in the back end. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take you into a sample course site that I have. We're going to look at using the tool. We're going to look at how you can customize it and examples of how it's been used in the past, and look from a student perspective and talk a little bit about the limitations of the tool. And I invite you, we'll do a Q&A section at the end. So I invite you to think about ways that you might use it, or if you're not sure if it'll work for your current situation, you can ask and we'll see, we can kind of guide you if it would work for the type of grading you need or not. Okay, so let me exit out of here. Oh. My computer is being a little bit stubborn. Okay, so this is the example that I've provided. So I'm going to go into assignments, assessment assignments. As we know, that's where all our students submit their work. So I have two examples here. So I'll go into example 1. So this is one that's got feedback in it. So you can see how it's been used in this example. Okay. So this is an assignment that a student put in. So you can see there's just check marks. It's just simply a check mark to indicate, good point, I agree with you. When I really agree, I underline and do a check mark because I'm like, okay, they got that point, especially if it's a point that I'm using for grading. So I kind of underline those as a really quick visual marker that they've got that point and it's underlined. And then you can see, I don't know how clearly you can see it on your screen. There's little green circles here. So those are comments. So I just give a comment here. The student was talking about they didn't know what to do with their hands when they're presenting. They had a hard time keeping them in their pockets. So I just kind of commented back to that point. Another one here, they're talking about being nervous. So I've commented back to that. Underline and a check mark. I mean, this is a really simple way to use the tool, yet it's very effective. And you always have the side here. So if you're using a rubric, you have the opportunity to put feedback in the rubric or click on how they're doing in terms of the levels of criteria. And there's the feedback here. So if you want to do an overall general feedback, you can put that in there. So there's lots of places to give feedback and to, kind of coach and guide the students. And the annotation tool is one of them that allows you to do those right in the text functions. So I'm going to go back to submissions. So what we're going to look at now is we're just going to look at, it's just pretty much a blank document with some points on it. And we're going to see how to use the tool. So as soon as you click in, you're going to get this box. You'll see a menu at the top. So the menu is showing you all the functions. So you can zoom in. I always zoom in because my eyes get sore. So I zoom in to things quite large sometimes so I can see. And you can also make the screen full if you want to see more of it. For our demonstration, I'm just going to bring it out. There's a hand tool. So if you do make it very large, you can still move it around. So you can put the part of the screen you want. And this might work good for if you're having students do a diagram. That's where you might find a lot of functionality for that. So here's the pen tool. So it says drawing. So as soon as you click on the little arrow, you're going to get the 4 options. So drawing, a freeform highlighter, a text highlighter, and an eraser. So once I click on drawing, you'll see I get another submenu. And this is where I can pick the color of the pen. So there is red, if anybody's old school. I usually use the pink or the blue, just because it stands out quite nice on the screen. And it's easy as that. So you click it, pick your color, and you can start writing. You can choose the width of the pen. So you can do very big to very small. So just depending on what you like. You can pick the opacity as well. So you can do a very strong pink or a lighter pink. I pretty much leave it at, around 100%. And I usually go for about a 4, but that's up to you. So that's how you can customize it. You can, of course, change the color. If you want to get real fancy, you could do your check marks in one color, your underlines in one color. I mean, you can kind of create something that makes sense for you. You might want to, if you're circling things and putting question marks, you might want to make those, green to kind of alert the students. If you use a stylus opposed to your mouse, you can get finer detail. I find with the mouse, I can't really write words. With a stylus, you can probably go in and write actual words back in handwriting. So I usually just keep it to checks, underlines, question marks, and I'll circle if I don't understand and maybe point there, or if there's something wrong in the writing, or if they're using the same word in the sentence too many times, I'll kind of do arrows to show them like you're using this same word 5 times in a sentence, try to change it up. So that's how you use the pen. It's quite easy as long as you know to click on the pen function. And if you do something by mistake, you can always go and erase it. So you just hit the eraser function and it's all gone. It's like you didn't do anything. And I use the eraser from time to time. I might write a note and then further on they've answered my question, so I'll just go and erase it. And then there's the note tool. So it's right beside the pen tool is the note tool. So once you hit the note tool, you're going to get a submenu again. So you can pick your color of your note. So you can go yellow, you can go blue, whatever you want to use. I'm going to use the blue one for this example, and you can change the little icon. So you can use the little circle. I usually use this because it looks like it looks what people expect a note to look like. I think it's very similar to like a sticky note on a PDF document or something. And you just put your note and you just can write, hello, how are you, blah, 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 whatever you want. As soon as you're done your note and you click off, it's going to kind of minimize it. When you hover over, it'll pop up. So it doesn't take up a bunch of room on your page. It's there, but it's not taking up room. So you can move them. So you might write a note here, and then you want to move it to the beginning of a paragraph. You could use, I've used stars before. So sometimes I'll give the main overall feedback in a star at the top of the page and my subnotes in another icon. And you can change the color if you want for different types of notations. So you might want to use green for questions, blue for comments. I mean, you can get as fancy as you want. I just usually use the same color for everything, but I might change up the icons I use for different types of notations. The other tool in here is a text box. So I've not used the text box myself, but you might find a use for it. The text box is, there's two, the submenu again popped down. So there's 2 colors that you can curate for your text box. You can change the color of the text, and you can change the color of the box that holds the text. So for this example, I'm going to use a pink box, and I'm just going to use black writing. So I've got my text box selected, so I'm just going to go and start the box here. So here is the text box. Oops, box. So that stands out quite a bit. And with everything else, you just grab it with your mouse and you can just move it. So you might be working on this as you're grading the paper and then move it to where you want it to be located. You can adjust the size to fit the dimensions. So that's just another way of giving feedback. So there's the writing tool is the main one, the note tool, and the text box. So those are probably the three big ones. There's a lot of different things you can do with each of them. Like I've never even used this function here. I played with it last night and I didn't find it of benefit, and it confused me more. So unless you want to get kind of down in the weeds, or we have the one wizard in the audience. If you know how to use it, you can let us know in the QA part, but I've actually never used this, so I'm not even sure exactly what it would do. I've never had a need to use it. The last item you can do here is the line tool. So this is just putting lines on the paper. And this would be beneficial if you were using, like if you had the students draw something, or if they had some sort of flow chart or something, you might want to use this tool. And again, with everything else, you can change the color to whatever you want. You can change the thickness of the line, so we'll make it very thin. There's a lot of different features in here. And with the line, there's an arrow. So you can do the arrow if you're going to point at something. So you might have your text box here, and you're pointing it to a certain piece of the student's writing to make sure they're knowing that that's specific to this section or this picture or this area in the grid, whatever you're grading. So you can kind of make it work in different circumstances. And there's the rectangle. So if you wanted to pull something out and do an arrow to it. So there's a lot of different little pieces to it. As I said, personally, I pretty much have always just used the pen tool and the note tool, and that's been great for me. I might start using the text box because I think that's kind of nice how you can have it. It's quite, they can't miss it. You can make it quite bold and change the colors up. So I'm probably going to start testing out using the text box function and giving the feedback as well. So those are the main tools. Does anybody have any question about those tools before we look at a few more examples? Is there anything you'd like me to show again? We're good? Let's see, I'm just going to check the chat. Oh, I don't think there's anything in the chat here. Okay. Is there a way to email ourselves a fake assignment in a sandbox so we can practice? Yes, you can. That's what I've done here. So you can do it. I'm going to save that in case we want to look at it again. So if you go into your course and you just switch yourself to a student, so view as a student, then you could submit an assignment to an assignment box and go in there and play with it. And then it'll be all set up for you to go. And that's just exactly what I've done here. So I'm going to just show you an Excel sample. And it's because I know a lot of people use Excel and you don't necessarily only want to see the final results. of your students' Excel assignments, you may need to see the formulas. So this is what I was explaining. So this is actually an Excel file that I've done. I've put a couple tests, and this final column here is formulas. I can see the results of the formulas, but I can't check if the students' formulas are correct. So you would actually need to download it for that reason, to look at the back end of the formulas. I don't know if we have any computer programming people in the audience. I don't know if this would work for any of your computer programming submissions, or if you would run into glitches there where you need to see something beyond what the system does, because the system basically takes the document that the students submitted and kind of makes a copy of it, and just what it can see. It doesn't look at any of the back end information. To see that, you would have to download the document the traditional way, where you actually just click on the document and then open it in the proper tool that it's been created in. Then you can see all the back end pieces. Right, so that's it. I mean, it's pretty easy. You can just go in, and I like the suggestion, I don't know who made it, of kind of putting one in your course as your own, so you can go in and play with it. I think that's a really good idea. It can't hurt anything, because you're viewing it as your own assignment as a student, so you're not going to affect anybody's grades. And that's probably a good way to kind of see how it's going to work from you, and kind of sample all the tools out in a nice, safe environment where you're not worried about mucking up a student's assignment. Are there any questions? Okay, I'm going to go back to here. So I have another poll I'm going to launch, and it's the future use. So I know that was a pretty quick demo, but of course, you can always reach out to whoever you're working with, Ken or myself. We can give you more details on it, but it is incredibly easy to use, and it's built that way. I see I have a couple questions, so I'm just going to let the poll run. So we're just curious if you'll be using it in the future. So I'll give a few more seconds. I'm going to share the poll results, and then I'm going to go to the 3 people with their hands up. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll, and I'm going to share the results. And I'm saying the results as well, because the video doesn't capture the poll results. So we have 18 that are wizards in training, so they're going to be using the tool. We'll have one that's going to be a hobbit and stay in the Shire doing it a traditional way, which is fine, and 7 that aren't sure yet, going to play around with it. They're aspiring to be a dabbler or a wizard, so a forest elf or a wizard level. So thanks for doing the poll. Okay. So I'm going to go to questions, and I don't know who put their hand up first, so I'm just going to go across my screen, but I'll make sure I get to everybody. So Kim.
Can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
All right, thank you very much for this presentation. Very helpful.
You're
I'm
welcome.
excited to use it. I'm very new. I'm actually marking one of my first assignments that's not a quiz, and I think this would be really great to use. However, I'm teaching InDesign, which is with Adobe products. So Word, Excel, they're not going to get recognized in submissions. So I'm actually going as far as to making a PDF for the students for this particular project. And I'm uploading it in Nexus while I'm marking it. I'm using a rubric, which is awesome, by the way. However, is there any way that uploaded PDF that I'm bringing in of their file, can I do these annotations on that? And how do I bring that over that I can access that? Because it currently comes up on the right side of my marking. So do you have a suggestion where I could possibly make that work?
I don't off the top of my head, but what I will invite is you to connect with me, and then we can do a Zoom and you can show me. I think that's the best way, and we'd be able to find out really quickly if it would work or not, or if there's some workarounds. So I will you can send me an email, Kim. It's s.dram, and then we can connect. Okay. Next hand I see up is Danielle.
Hi, Stevie. Thanks so
Hi.
much for this presentation. And I have to say, these workshops are great and I love them.
Oh, good.
They're so helpful to see things like, you know, from the perspective of actually doing it. So I really like the chance to be part of these. So my question, and I'm sorry, I might have missed it because I had some distractions going on here at home, but are the annotations that you put on these papers immediately available for students to view? Do they see them right away, or can you kind of withhold them and release all at once? Just because I'm thinking if I have 15 students in a class, I don't want student number 1 to get their results right away and then start, you know, complaining to the other students who haven't gotten their results.
Exactly. Oh, my computer's being so weird. Yes, so that's a really good point. So you can grade a whole bunch and not publish them. So they're not going to see those annotations till it's published. So you can see just in this example, only this one has been published. So these 3 that have been maybe graded, but they're still sitting in draft form. So once you do your annotations, once you can do everything, you can put your annotations in, you can fill out your rubric, you can put your grade in, you can add extra feedback here. You can see the bottom here, it says update or retract. So that's giving me an indication that it's already been saved. So I'm just gonna put, I'm just gonna put some letters in here, and now it'll say update. So that's not going to be published. So normally it would say publish or save as draft, but because I've already been working in it, I don't get those options again. So you can do, you know, because sometimes we pick through, right? You pick through your grading for a few days till you get all the students, and you want to release them all at once for exactly the reason you said. There's friends or you know, people that chat together and they'll go, I got my grade. Well, I didn't get my grade, and they automatically panic and start sending you emails going, did you get my assignment? I didn't get my grade. My friend got their grade. So you can save as draft, and when you're ready, you can release them all. So you can publish all the grades at once, and that's when they will see all the annotations and all the feedback and all the grades, and they won't see them till then. So that's a really good question.
Thank you for that. Yeah, it sounds like that might have happened to you before.
Never. Yeah. Okay, Brenda.
That question that Danielle asked was the same thing I was asking.
Oh, okay.
So you answered it. Thank you.
Okay. I just came to realize I didn't show you what it looks like from the student side. And I didn't because it looks pretty much, I will, but it looks pretty much exactly the same as what you see when you make it. So now I'm in the student view. So I'm going to go to assessments, assignments, as a student would do to see their feedback they've received. So I can see I've submitted 5 files and I have 1 evaluation that I haven't looked at yet. So here's the rubric. And I can see my inline feedback right here. So I'm going to click on that. And here's all the notes the instructor has given me. So there's a star. I got a gold star. Good job. I've got some comments. I've got some, you know, check marks of agreements, underlines, more comments. So they see exactly what you write in there, but not till you publish it. So it's really easy for them to go in. They just hover over, and that's why a strong color is good because it really pops and they can quickly scan and see where your comments or your notes are. The green, I probably won't use the green again. I find it a bit too light. However, I know students' eyes are younger than mine. They might see it quite better than I do. But I use hot pink all the time. I love the hot pink, or I use the gold star if it's like I want to really, let them know they did really well. So this is what the student sees, exactly what you've put on the paper. One thing I will note is when the system say it's taking a Word document and it's putting it in, doing its magic to make it work in the annotation tool, it can put some of the APA formatting out of line a little bit. So if you notice that things are just slightly out and you're like, I don't think the student actually did that, that might be the software. Because I can see this words way down here. It's probably not like that in the Word document. So if you want to do a quick check, you can just download to make sure they're there. Just another thing to keep in mind, if you're looking for that APA formatting, it can tweak it just a little bit, which is a bit of a flaw of the system. So you might have to download just to look to make sure that it's formatted as you wanted. Karen, you had a question?
Yeah, so thank you. This is super helpful. And I'm just playing along a little bit with you. And so I opened the student document. I started to play around on the assignment, and I've managed to do a couple things that I can't figure out how to erase now. So yeah, I kind of desperately need your help. I've got a line that I put in, and eraser doesn't seem to work on a line when it's the actual line. And then I've got a note, and I don't know how to get rid of the note either.
Okay, I know exactly how to get rid of that. So if you just take your mouse and click on the line and hit delete, that should work.
That sounds extremely simple. Mouse, delete. Yes, fantastic.
Yeah.
Same thing with the note?
Same thing with the note, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, that's actually a really good thing to know, that to delete, you just click on the item and then delete it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is super helpful. Really, really grateful.
Oh, great. I'm glad people are finding it helpful. Janella and Tucker.
He's sleeping now. So could you, I just put it in the chat, could you show me how to publish all the grades at once? Missed that. So I've been publishing, like I've been doing the updates or published, but I was wanting you said to publish them all at once.
Yeah, so
oh, okay. So
this is the sample, so, but imagine more and more students. So you would just, you could click right here and that would just check them all off and then publish feedback. You can do them all at once. Yeah.
All right. Yep. Simple. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love this tool.
Yeah, I really like it. I like the ability to kind of freeform and put checks and underlines and question marks. I find it really quick and helpful, and it kind of resonates with students. They like seeing the checks. They like seeing the underlines. It's really, it's going back to like basic grading in elementary school almost, but in a trendy, nuanced way. Are there any other questions? I can't see everybody on my screen, so if I don't call your name.
I'm just curious, is this a newish feature on Nexus? Because I do remember a couple of years ago asking them if I could somehow make annotations right in the document and being told no. So yeah, I'm just curious.
It is new-ish. I like that word. It's probably maybe a year and a half it's been there. I don't remember getting like a notice or anything, but I might have and not read it. It was just there one day and I started playing with it and absolutely loved it. So it hasn't been there for a long time. I can't say when, but I would say a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Diane, you have a question?
Just a minute, unmute. There we go.
There we go.
Yes, this is a quick one, but I'm just wondering, now you did mention that many students do like this annotation. But do all the students, are they all introduced to it, for example, when they do their orientations? And what about the part-time students in the evenings who are doing online classes?
Well, we don't introduce them to it because they see it when they click into their assignments.
So
Like all they have to do is click and they'll see inline feedback.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's nothing they need to do. They just click and they can see it. For
okay.
full-time students, I do talk about it in their orientation and let them know that your instructor may be using a rubric. So you'll see kind of your where you fall in the criteria and feedback, or feedback right in your documents. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, guess I just have to try it and see what it does. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? If you have a question, you can just speak up. I might not see your hand up, unfortunately. Okay. I think that's it for the presentation, unless anybody wants to add a comment about it. I know we have one wizard. I'm curious who the wizard is. Wizard, speak up. It's Ken. Oh.
No.
Oh.
There was a question from Donna. I just wanted to
Oh.
know if you acknowledged it. Did you see it? She's asking about using this tool with quizzes and final exams, which it doesn't do.
No.
I just wasn't sure if you'd addressed that.
No,
But
I
Donna,
didn't see it. Yeah.
Donna, there is a different tool that you can use in quizzes and final exams to add comments. It's not quite the same, but it does add feedback. And maybe we'll arrange a separate session on that, Stevie?
Yeah, we could. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good question, Donna. Okay, so thank you so much for your time today. And I don't know if anybody saw this while my computer was going weird. I just had to add this meme. If you don't study, you shall not pass. And if you know Lord of the Rings, you're going to know this iconic piece of the movie. And I mean, you could put this in your class slides. Janella looks like she's in Lord of the Rings right now with her background. Yeah. So I think that's it. I mean, a couple last things is if you ever have questions or ever need some guidance, reach out to Ken and myself. We're here to support you and show you all these little tricks and nexus that really will hopefully make your life easier, because Ken and I both teach. So we know how much work it is and how much blood, sweat, and tears you all put into your teaching endeavors, and we really appreciate it. So that's it for today. We ended a bit early, so you can have a bit of time for lunch. And we're recording this, so it will be sent out and for PACE instructors posted on the portal for you to look at as you need. Great. Take care, everybody. Have a good rest of your week and weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks, Stevie.
Thank you. Bye.
Welcome. Bye.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a great week.